Hi there, this is Justin Krane, certified financial planner professional and founder of Krane Financial Solutions. Welcome to Money You Got This. So how can you really live? How? By uniting your business money, your personal money with your life and your business. Word up.
Krane Financial is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only, and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products.
What is up, everybody? This is Justin Krane from Money You Got This. I am super psyched to have an amazing guest on today. But before I tell you who he is, let me tell you that this show is brought to you by Krane Financial Solutions. I'm Justin Krane. I'm a certified financial planner professional, and I offer investment management services and act as a fractional CFO to dentists and business executives. I'm the author of the book, Money You Got This, and it's time to merge your money with your life. You guys ready? All right, let's do this. I'm psyched you're listening to the show. I want to give you this free report, 3 things multimillionaires do to grow their wealth. Just go to coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. That's coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. Thanks. So today's guest is Dr. Mike Kesner, who owns like 4 million dental practices, has over 2 billion employees, and has done a lot. And we're going to learn a lot from him today. Mike, Dr. Mike, welcome. How you doing?
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So you are the CEO of Quantum Leap Success in Dentistry, and you have practiced general dentistry since I was 12.
Oh, really? That makes sense.
Yes, 1984. So let's just first start off with the most simple thing is you're still a general dentist, right? Do you still see patients?
Right.
And now you're teaching dentists how to grow and double their practices and all of that. Why did you make the transformation from just being a dentist to a consultant as well? What was it that got you that spark?
Well, it was kind of, for years I was a poor dentist. I was barely getting by. And so I burned out after 13 years of trying to be successful and going to all these consulting companies and courses and seminars and all that kind of stuff. And so anyway, I burned out and decided just to heck with it. I'd sell my practice. And so I did. I sold it to an orthodontist who was buying practices as investments. He was actually a CPA before he became a dentist, and his wife was a dentist. And so anyway, about 3 years into that, after I'd sold it, his wife ran over him with a Mercedes 3 times and killed him. She caught him in a hotel with another woman, which is not a good thing.
Lovely. That's the murder part of your story, which I did read, which is very interesting. We won't go into the whole thing, but great thing for a movie.
So I bought the practice back from the estate, decided I had to do whatever it took to be successful in dentistry. And so I figured out how to do it finally and grew the practice very rapidly. And so that got me into the consulting end because I saw so many dentists that were in the same position that I'm in or was in, which is being frustrated, not being successful, not making the income that you should for the amount of risk and education and all that kind of stuff. So that's what got me into it. Just started helping guys out. And so our deal is, get their practice doubled and cut their stress in half.
Did you make an active intention to be like, okay, I'm going to go consult other dentists? Or did you have like fellow dentists like calling you up and being like, hey man, what are you doing and why can't I have some of that?
Yeah, that's how it started. It was, helping fellow dentists and then they were saying, hey man, you ought to teach this to other guys. And so that's just kind of how it started. So I wrote the book and wrote my book and then decided, well, I'll just start a consulting company. We did. And so we've been able to help hundreds of dentists all across the country for the last 10, 12 years.
So you had this point in time, Mike, where you struggled for, what was it, like 10 or 15 years? Like
yeah.
That's like, we just kind of like gloss over that, but that's a ton of time. Yeah. That is a long time.
Yeah, it is. And it's, maybe I'm stubborn or whatever. Actually, we find that dentistry has one of the highest burnout rates of any other profession. And it's a stressful profession. It's very difficult to do well. We all have those 5% patients, that that make our lives miserable and that sort of thing. And so, it's you need to make the income that you should. And so I just said, heck with it, and burned out. And we find that dentists that have been in practice anywhere from 7 to 10 years, most of them have burned out at least once. In my seminars, I ask for a show of hands, and most every dentist has been through burnout. And it's not a fun feeling. You put all this time and energy and effort into it, and it turns out to be not what you had hoped and expected and dreamed it would be.
So how old were you in that period of, let's just say 10 years, where you were like stagnant and you weren't really growing and getting what you wanted out of it?
How old was I?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess, let's see, I was like 27 when I started my practice in 84, started a scratch practice. And then, 13 years later, so I guess it was around, 40?
Yeah, so in your 30s. Do you think that your age, and also just for a business owner's age, has something to do with the fact that, like, maybe there's a period of time in our lives as business owners where we feel like we can't get out of our own way, we're not really ready, we're not in the right framework or mindset, and then as you get older, maybe you might become a little bit more wiser and either be open to new things? Was that like that for you at all?
It was, I guess, the for the age thing, it was just, trying, like in our consulting, most of our doctors have gray hair. So we as dentists are smart. I mean, we wouldn't make it through dental school if we weren't, and we're good at kind of do it yourself. So I tried, everything I think of to fix the problem, and so finally decided to give up. So I think for docs, you get tired of it not working, not making the money that you should, barely being able to pay the bills. You're looking at retirement going, good grief, how is that ever going to happen? And I think it's, you get into your 40s and 50s. Most of our docs are, late 40s, 50s, sometimes 60s before they finally seek help, and finally say, okay, I want some help. So
if a business owner is listening, in particular a dentist, and they feel like they're struggling, I guess the takeaway is you don't have to be like this macho guy. You can actually, it's fine if you go out and you get help from people that have done what you've done. And it's like, put your ego aside, let someone with a flashlight and a map in a dark cave show you the way, rather than trying to figure it out yourself.
Yeah. And we as dentists, we try to figure it out first.
But yeah, it's dentists, but like people in general. Like, I was a financial advisor at this big Wall Street firm. I was like not that happy. And I took me like 13 years, coincidentally, to bail. And I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, why didn't I do it earlier? And I got to believe I wasn't either mature enough or didn't have the chutzpah or the cojones or whatever to be like, look, I want to do this. But, sometimes we need an older, wiser version of us to look back on where we are now, or, where we were, and give us that advice. Yeah. So I read this about you and I'm like, that's insane. You have started 9 more practices, and within 3 or 4 months, you got them to doing $1 million in sales.
Yeah, we were anywhere from 1 to 3 months. We were at the $1 million run rate.
How do you sprinkle your magic? I mean, how do you do that? That's like, I'm trying to think of the numbers, and how do you make that happen? 9 of them. It's like, I might as well say like you're Roger Federer, who's won 20 Grand Slams in tennis. Like, how do you do something like that?
Well, actually, we've got 13, but we
13 practices. Okay.
It's by having strong systems, by having a team that's running the practice, learning how to communicate with patients in a way that helps them to want what they need. Nobody really wants to get their teeth worked on. It's not fun. I hate getting mine worked on, and I get done for free. So it's communicating in a different way to get your case acceptance up. So it's a whole bunch of pieces of the puzzle, but once they all come together, and everything's firing on all cylinders, you got a lot of people coming in and a lot of people saying yes to the dentistry.
Okay, so I got to go deeper on it. I know it's systems. I get that. How do you manage that if you're running 13 practices, or at least you're overseeing them, and you want to have a life and, like, I don't know what, just exist? How do you follow through on these systems and make sure that you're making progress and you're doing the right thing? How do you keep it all together?
Well, you have to hire really good people. So I've got good people that work for me that, I delegate to them, hold them accountable, and let them run with the ball. Don't try to micromanage them. And, but you just have to, us as dentists, we're typically micromanagers. And so I had to learn to give that up, because there's no way that you can do it all by yourself.
Yeah.
But it's hiring good people and let them run and do a good job. And then, and holding them accountable to what it is that they need to be doing.
Did you pay them like some sort of like salary and bonus based on certain key initiatives so that they were aligned with what you think was important?
Right. Yeah. All my team are incentivized, and it's incentivized based upon the profit. You never want to incentivize on top line. You want to incentivize on bottom line. And so as the profit increases, then they get a piece of that profit. So it makes them more like owners, if you will, or partners.
I love that. So let's dive into that, because I act as a CFO and work with clients in the dental space and business owners, and half of them hear that they should incentivize their employees through sales or specific targets, and half of them are of the mindset that they should incentivize on profits. But then they start thinking, oh, if I incentivize on profits, they're going to see all of the expenses and blah, 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 and I don't want them knowing about anything about the business. What would you say about that?
They need to know. They'll never be totally on board if they don't know. Now, by saying no, I don't hand them my P&L. They don't know how much money I make or how much other team members make, but they know what the overhead number is. Here's the nut that we've got to crack every month, and so anything over that is profit, and then they get a percentage of that profit, and it's all above board. It's all here's what the profit was. Here's we take out credit card fees, other expenses like that, and they see what everybody gets. So we break that bonus down to a per hour amount based upon how much they work. So with bonus plans, they have to be equal. In other words, you can't bonus some of the team and not some of the team. So a lot of bonus plans we've unraveled for doctors that actually disincentivize. But so everybody gets to see what everybody gets in the bonus, and so that way they feel it's fair and above board. And then it's a substantial amount of money too for our team. So our teams in the dental offices, they're bonusing $500,000, $2,000 a month per staff member on top of their income, and that's a significant amount of money that will make a difference in their life.
Yeah, you said 500 to 1,000 or 2,000. I heard 500,000 first. I was like, no. I'm like,
no, that would be nice.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is one that I want to get inside your mind on this. Now, the whole trend is, corporate dentistry, DSOs, roll-ups, blah, blah, blah. So as you built up these 13 practices, and I think I heard you say that eventually you like to sell. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah. So why are you give us some insight into how you're thinking about this. Like, you could sell when you have 3 practices. You can sell when you have 6. You can, why are you choosing to wait until you can build up more? What are the things that are on your mind? Like, do you think you can get a larger multiple the more you have and the better systems and EBITDA you have on each of these? Give us an idea of what you're thinking about that.
Yeah, you can get, and I can tell you, I'm really close. It's the multiples of EBITDA are higher than they've been ever, and I get a phone call from a private equity company, cold call once a week. So dentistry is a really hot space. It's a seller's market. And, most dentists don't want to do 13 offices. It's really, really, really hard. I'm entrepreneurial. Most dentists are not. So, but we help a lot of our clients do 3 to 5, and then we help them with the management. That's always the hard part in some of the services and that sort of thing. But it's a great exit strategy. That's the largest segment of the market right now. The fastest growing segment of the market is the guys that have 2 to 25 offices. And solo practitioners are declining. DSO is increasing, but not a whole lot. It's that middle market that's increasing. And it's because guys like me that are, hey, I can do 3, 4, 10 practices or whatever, and then sell to a DSO. And so it's a great exit strategy. And there's and when I say sell to a DSO, that a lot of docs think that means sell and head for the beach.
Yeah, no.
You need to sell and stay, because if you sell and leave, the value goes way down.
Yeah.
The dentist needs to understand that they're the most important part of the practice. Patients are important, but the doctor is most important, because if he leaves, then the value goes down.
Yeah, because he's the one that's got the relationship with the referral partners and patients to a certain extent. So tell us more about your plan, as much as you want to share. I mean, I know that you have your own stuff, but I think it's good for people to hear about your vision and where you are with that.
How do you mean, as far as the
well,
model, or what? Yeah,
like you own 13 practices. You've come out and said that it's very, very hard to do this and manage it. They've got to be cash flowing good. At what point are you like, you know what? I did this. This is really cool. I'm going to sell, or I want to stay, or I have a legacy, or somehow I'm going to bring in someone else and monetize something of what I have. That's got to be a big thing for you to think about.
Yeah, it is. It is a big step. It's kind of been the plan all along, but it's a great exit strategy for docs to do, and we help docs do that, to plan an exit strategy, because most docs don't have an exit strategy. It's maybe one of these days I'll whatever.
Yeah.
But things are changing, and it's it's getting harder to sell a single practice, especially if it's a large practice. Our deal with our clients is, let's take you from 1 million to 2 million. Well, we just made the practice harder to sell, because it's to one dentist, right? Because a dentist that's coming out of school's got $300,000-$400,000 in debt.
Yeah.
Practice is going to sell for 70% of revenue, 70-80%. So he's not going to be able to get a loan like that. So we're setting most people up to sell to a DSO, and and in thinking about that, it's important to think about it early, because the DSO wants you to stay, and for me, we've done all this with bank debt, and there was one practice we did out of cash flow, but the rest of them are bank debt. And so you get to a certain point where the banks go, okay, we've had enough. And so we're kind of at that point. And, I want to grow to 30 or 50 or whatever. And so partnering with DSO private equity, you can get influx of funds and grow a lot faster than you could by yourself. So
your goal would then be to try and sell but stay, and even get bigger, and not just like take what they call that second bite of the apple, where you're staying and you're keeping some of your equity in what you're selling to, and you're still staying on to try to grow it. Yeah, because the second bite of the apple can be bigger than the first. Yeah, and and it's and for me that's fun. I love growing businesses and creating things, and I love it, man. I could talk to you for like forever, and we haven't even had any wine together or anything. Well, it'd be a bit better if we had some wine. Okay, so you said something about bank debt. So just really simply for people to understand, what you're basically saying is you can borrow money from the bank. The interest and the principal on that loan that you're borrowing is offset by the cash flow on what you're buying. And eventually the money that you're buying offsets the debt and the principal that you're paying back. And eventually you now have more equity along the way. Yeah. That's the goal. Yeah. Okay. So you took your practice, I think when you started from, or actually maybe in year 13, when you went from 675,000 to 4 million.
Right. Yeah, we
right?
did that with one office. Yeah.
With one office.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I finally figured out how to do it.
Don't you be like, wow, imagine if I knew what I knew now when I was like 25 or 30.
Man, it would have been wonderful.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about debt, but talk to someone who has that student loan coming out with like 500 grand. Like, how are they going to buy how are they going to buy a practice? Are they going to just be an associate? Like, how are they going to pay that back? It's insane. What's your opinion on that? And the best way for someone to manage those student loans and either grow, build a scratch, buy into something. What do you think about all that?
It's tough. I mean, it's a tough position, and hence corporate dentistry. The timing is right for that because a lot of them can't afford to buy, and actually most associates, most dentists coming out of dental school now don't want to own, and so that's caused the rise of corporate dentistry. So they're probably going to need to work somewhere, and it's a good idea anyway. Get your skills, get your speed, and then get that debt paid down, and then I think it's probably easier to buy an acquisition.
Yeah.
You can find some good deals out there. There's a lot of dentists that don't practice the business of dentistry very well. And
yeah.
So, you can buy a practice for $500,000 and double it, fairly easily. So.
Yeah. So you have all of these, and we haven't talked a lot about it, but I want to let everyone know that you have lots of things that you have going on to teach dentists about this. You've written a book, multi-million-dollar dental practice, right? You do events. You're at least 3-4 times a year, you're out there marketing what you're doing. So I want to encourage people to learn from you. I mean, like, I'm not a dentist. I'm a money guy for dentists, but if I was going to get into dentistry, I would want to like sit and just like shadow you and just read all of your stuff and be like, why don't I just implement something that someone's already done rather than being so stubborn and trying to figure it out by myself?
Yeah, I did that. It took me 19 years.
19. But seriously, Mike, it's like people, it's like, I think it's my own view is you got to be ready. You got to be mature. You got to put your ego aside. You got to be humble. And you got to be like, it's not just all about me. It's someone else knows. And I don't know who it is talks about, hiring people that are smarter than you and all that. I want to end on one question that you're probably not expecting, but like, I think you've lost some weight. Like, I've seen other pictures of you. What do you like? What's your story? Are you exercising well? Are you dieting? How are you keeping vital and good? Because you look fit.
Well, thank you. I have lost weight. Thank you for noticing. Yeah, eating better, dieting, getting on the treadmill, all that stuff. So I do a lot of sitting at a desk now. I don't practice all the time, and so I used to get a lot of exercise working in the practice because you're going from chair to chair and that kind of stuff. So.
Okay, but you give us more. Like, what's the story? Are you paleoing it? Are you like flossing every day? Are you meditating? Did you cut out carbs? Are you running 30 miles a day? What are you doing?
No, I'm not cutting out carbs. Yeah, getting on the treadmill, cutting out carbs, that sort of thing. Actually, I'm doing a yeast-free diet.
Okay.
Right? Yeast-free, yeah. So I cut my finger and it got severely infected, and so I had to have tons of antibiotics. And so anyway, my horse was acting up, and I took a swing at her nose, and anyway, she moved, and so I hit the wood.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so that's the purpose of the yeast-free diet. I know TMI, but anyway.
No, it's good. It's good. Are you working out like at the end of the day? Do you do it in the morning, or what?
I like doing it at the end of the day. I'm not too much of a morning person. So
yeah, I like working out in the afternoon. Like in the morning, I like to work and have coffee and get stuff done. In the afternoon and evening is when I like to burn it off. Yeah. So, well, that's cool. So where can people go to connect with you, to read about what you've got to offer them, and potentially go to one of your events, where can we find out more about you?
You can go to qlsuccess.com. That's our website.
QL?
QL, Quantum Leap Success. QL, it's Quantum Leap Success in Dentistry. So qlsuccess.com. So yeah, we've got a seminar in Charlotte here in May, and then August we're in Denver.
Okay.
So we do about once a quarter. We go and do seminars, and so it's a lot of information, ton of information on how to be successful in dentistry, and then a lot of guys choose to hire us to come in and double their practices.
When they hire you, are you going to their practice? Like, are you sending, is it you, your team? Like, who actually facilitates and delivers everything?
Yeah, I have a team of consultants that have been doing dental consulting for a long time. So they go into the practices, and then they do a lot of phone coaching, and they do training of the team, and we have online training system. Docs get to come here. Actually, we got some docs here this weekend here in Houston. So they come and have some training, and then they also go into the offices and just observe and see how it is that, we do, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 days.
So your coaches are coaching these clients of yours. You're not involved with every single client. I mean, do you do some of that, or is it you're pretty much more Steve Jobs, big picture, visionary?
Yeah, some of that. They do most of the hands-on. When the docs come here, we have a meeting. I do more of the higher level stuff with the doctors. So if they're looking to acquire more offices, then I'll help them with that. Look at the P&Ls, balance sheets, and and try to look under the rocks and see if the practice is really what they say it is. Or if they're wanting to do a de novo, start a new office somewhere, then we help them with that, with site selection, lease negotiations, and floor plan, and all that stuff.
Awesome. Very, very cool.
When I jump in, when it's that kind of level stuff.
I love it. Well, it's really been really good to have you on. I learned something that I kind of knew about, just business and life, which is it's okay to get help and to learn from people that have already succeeded, because even if you implement and adopt a lot of what they did, you're still doing it yourself, and can put your own like salsa on it, to where you're gonna do it your way and still feel like it's your baby, rather than just doing the cookie cutter thing. Like we think we're gonna do it that way, but it turns out that we can still put some of our own view of it in there. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great to have you. We'll send everyone over to your offices in Houston for root canals, cleanings, flosses, and what do they call those things? Prophies.
Prophies, yeah.
Prophies. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you. Good talking to you.
Have a question? Want to get in touch with us? Need some help and advice with your finances? Just go to coolmoneyshow.com and reach out to us. That's coolmoneyshow.com.
Krane Financial Solutions is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products. No investment decision should be made based solely on any information provided herein. We do not provide legal, accounting, or tax services. We recommend that all investors seek out the services of competent professionals in any of the aforementioned areas. Certain information provided has been obtained from third-party sources that we believe reliable. However, it's not been independently verified and is not guaranteed.